Hello, welcome. Yesterday we started a Tarkov Inventory and I wasn't really happy with how it went, so I deleted the video, and today we're going to start from scratch and show a full process for how to do this. So I was building it from an old stream, and that was basically just making it take longer than it needed to, and so it would be nice to just show the full process of how I would approach this this type of inventory, where it's different semi-uniform sized items in an inventory. So let's get started with that. I need to open Unreal Engine, start a project from scratch here. Take 2 minutes and then we'll get kicked off. I also need to got Unreal open here. Let's just create a new blank level. Save that. Episode 7. Create ourselves a new game mode. New player controller. We'll start creating a couple of the classes that we're going to want. So firstly we need to define the data. So let's create a new primary data class. We'll have a name, have a size, so that we can determine the XY tiling. That'll be enough. We would add an image here, like a texture, like how does this item look, but I am not going to worry about that right now. Right now we're just going to worry about drawing different sized items into a grid. So that'll do there, and then we can go into miscellaneous now. Data asset, data item. Let's just bring this mic a little bit closer so I can whisper a little bit, because my neighbors are probably still asleep. DA item 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get 4 items going. Put this over here. Okay. Open these up and define these as different scales, different names. Name this random stuff like ammo, weapon, bag, medical item. Medicat. Medical. Okay, and then in the details we can edit these sizes. So we'll just go ammo is 1x2. How am I doing today, Fetch? Yeah, I'm good. I deleted the last stream that I did for the Tarkov stuff, and so today we're just going to start from scratch instead. I think that's just a little bit, just makes me feel better for the stream, because I think people would join the VOD and then view it and be like, oh, I've got to go watch another one. So we're just going to do this one from scratch today instead. And I found some better solutions as well. I did some research last night on the things that I wasn't happy with. And so today we're going to try and do it fully, or at least better. And we'll probably do another episode next Monday as well. Right now I've got some stuff on my other screen that I've got to sort out for a second. How are you doing? Also, while I'm faffing on my other screen, this music, Reddit here, this music can be used in your streams. So this is now, this jungle breakcore drum and bass Dreamcast PSX era music is now my my background music for every stream. That's it. That's it now. It's done. That's the music that we're always going to have on stream. This music gets me pumped to like code, so. Yeah, I'm faffing on the other screen right now, trying to get something sorted for myself. I put it in my experiments folder. I did some coding yesterday, and I want to make sure that I'm able to refer to it in case I do get stuck during this process. So yeah, just making sure that bases are covered. Okay. The project's opening. Okay, so we've got a 1x2 ammo. We're going to have a 3 wide 2 tall weapon. We're going to have a 2 wide 3 tall weapon. Bag, sorry. And our medical item will just be 2 units by 2 units. So that'll be cool. Okay, so we've got our items defined. So we're going to need a couple of widgets. Oh. First, widget underscore inventory, so that's where our grid will live. Next, we'll have user interface widget underscore inventory slot, and we'll also have inventory item. We'll need, we'll worry about materials afterwards. Okay. For our inventory slot, we're going to need some visuals, so I'm just going to go and steal those from old project. New art folder. Can't show that in Explorer because it doesn't exist yet. Okay, so I got these 2 assets that I made for a Resident Evil inventory back in the day. And the day was Tuesday. Okay. My side project's going well. Problem with this project is it does require some C++, and we'll get into that in a bit. But in order for it to work for me for referencing, I'm actually going to go and need to make it work on the site. I'm doing 2 projects at once. Well, technically I'm doing 1 project at a time, and it's probably making the stream a little bit boring. We'll figure it out. Soon. TM. I want to figure out where I put my source files. Because I had some source files. There we go. Found them. It took me a minute. Experiments. Tetris Inventory, source. Bam. Close it down. And then regenerate the project files. So I am going to share these source files, right? So you just make a C++ project and you just drop the source files that I'm going to give through Gumroad. You just drop these source files into whatever C++ project you've made through the regular launch browser. And then once you've done that, close everything and generate these Visual Studio project files, which will, if you've got everything correctly installed, if you don't, it will tell you what to do. If you do have everything correctly installed, it will start doing this, and then you'll get this solution. You can open this. I'm just going to quickly cover the source files that I created for this. So we right click on our whatever our project name was and set this up as a startup project. We can go and look at our source files. Public. We've got this widget library, right? So I made a widget blueprint library, which is like, we can make blueprint libraries in the editor and it's just accessible anywhere. It's like a static class that you can just access, and you're able to I've got this one function, right? It's just called get user widget at screen position, and it's pulling it's just this one script, which essentially is a copy of some code in the Unreal backend for when you click the mouse key, what button are you clicking based on your screen position of your mouse. But I just want to be able to test like what's somewhere on the screen, so I've just extracted that. So we're not here for C++ lessons, but basically that's that. And the reason all of this is red right now, I think, is because our build files are not correct, which is something that I'm not particularly awesome at. So we'll go, it's in here somewhere. Yeah, these two files I need to open both of them. So we've got these two targets. I'm gonna go and open my actual project. UI stream, source, and we'll just pop these two open as well. So extra module names is just this: UI stream editor target, Tetris inventory editor target. Yeah, you see how this is significantly different. Basically every time I build, I always get issues. So I'm just going to copy this over. Yeah, it's got a bracket at the end. Are you good now? Side. Okay, so that's that one, and then the UI stream straight target has something very similar by the looks. Just it's game instead of the other thing. We'll do this. Okay. And now that that's done, up here I'm just going to pick development editor and just hit play. And this is the point where AI really helps, because if this comes up with errors, I just post this straight into like ChatGPT and it will use its library of I know what crashes are or what build errors are, and it will just give me good directions basically. So I'm going to leave that going in the background. That's important, because what that's going to do is it lets us say we've got a grid of items, right? And I've got this item here and this item. I can drag this item and test. I can hit test for each central point. to find if there's something here, rather than trying to sift through an inventory. And then I can just hit tester based on what's actually there. Again, it's not the most optimal process, so there were build errors, great. Wow, there's a lot of build errors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the process that I go through when I debug this stuff. So I just go here and I just paste the whole log. It says I'm doing a misuse of a macro, but it works in my other project, so I bet you the files that I copied over, the widget library, probably referencing UI stream. Oh no, they're not. Yeah, here it is. Look. Let's just double check this is actually the one in my Tetris inventory, which it is. So these should be my primer Tetris inventory. And then this one is just a user widget, but this is like my own class. So F5 just to recompile. This is no again. Okay. That's just a copy and paste problem. I need to write that in like the notepad files. Okay, so it's telling me to do more things than I did in here, which is crazy. Like this just includes itself, but GPT is saying that I need to include a lot more modules. Inside of my I don't have my build CS open. Where is my build CS? Ah, that'll be why. Yeah, I'm missing some stuff in here. That makes sense. So I'll share the primer, basically the whole primer. This is going to make life a lot easier. Okay, so this is the this is like one for one what GPT is telling me in my new debug. So I've obviously done this before. So we're going to grab this. We're going to take that over to our own build CS here. We've got these public and privates. We're just going to plug that in. And then I don't know what that other stuff there was, so we'll just get rid of it. But that's not working, so let's do this. Just change this for primer underscore Tetris inv. And hit F5 on that, and so now the build CS includes the modules that it needed, Slate, in particular UMG Slate Core, for that particular widget. And you can see now it's running, and it's actually on my other screen. So that bit's done. let's carry on with actual blueprint stuff. Okay. So in our slot, let's get cracking. Let's get cracking. That was a little bit of a side gig, but let's get cracking on actual widget stuff. So for our widget slot, we're going to use an overlay. Going to set it to desired size. Going to add 2 images. This is just for the visual. So we're going to go image edge and image cross. Essentially, this is image. What do we call this? Occupied or not occupied? It's the occupied state based image basically. So it's the cross that we added. I'm going to center align this. And this one is, we'll go 64 by 64. It's going to be our edge that we made. Need to finish sorting out my side project here because I don't actually have the assets loaded. Let's have a look. I set this in. Okay. Sweet. Okay, we've got everything that I needed. So what we're going to do with this slot, actually one thing that I can see in the viewport here is that this slot is not fully aligned correctly. So if we actually go to custom, this is something that I always want to make sure is working correctly for like reactive UI, so or responsive UI. So we'll set that up properly. In our inventory, we're going to have a uniform grid panel. This is all just like the common stuff. We'll go desired for this, probably wrap this with some graphics. Let's just go with the background blur and the border. And in our grid here, we'll just call this is our inventory grid. Maps this to a function, create grid. And we're just going to for loop through your classic rows and columns. And so for me, I'm going to do 8 rows. How many should I do? How many did I do in my test? Did 4 by 8. So yeah, that's what I was setting up here. Cool. And so we for loop the columns. Make that to a local variable. L columns. Do the same thing again, but this time it will be for the rows. I'm going to create a widget, which is our slot. Add that to our uniform grid, and we'll use the column and row as the entry. We compile that now, and in the designer we get our grid. So the next thing that we'll need is an inventory screen to place that into. Widget inventory screen. So I'm not going to create a HUD class this time. Usually I would put this in the HUD class, but we're just going to draw this straight to the screen. So create widget inventory screen, add to viewport. Keep things real simple and fast. I'm going to have a horizontal box to house this. I'm going to put our inventory in here. Fill that and center align it. And then I'm also going to make a shop. So let's make that shop quickly. Widget blueprint, widget underscore shop. Pop that in here, fill, center align. So that's our inventory screen done. Let's draw into the screen. Yeah, we have an inventory. What we're going to need on this inventory is a canvas for our items to actually position themselves into. So I'm just going to take a look at how I sort that on my other side. Yeah. So we wrap this with an overlay and a canvas. So this canvas is going to be what holds our inventory for our moving items. So we're good. Can close that down now. In our shop, what we'll do is we will, for now, we'll just have items, data item. It's an array, and it's just going to hold our 4 items that we made earlier. We'll just each through this. Create a widget of an inventory item. We need some kind of holder for this, so we'll use a wrap box. Child to the wrap box. Cool. Now this inventory item doesn't have any information right now, so let's go sort that out. So in here we need a variable for data. It's item data. So every inventory item can hold an item data, right? Functions will do. We don't actually know what the functions are going to be yet. Let's just name them after we've created them. So let's get size. And so we have this XY. We could multiply this by some, we'll just call it scale or cell size, I suppose. So cell size will go with like 64. We need to multiply the size, which is like 2 by 1, by the cell size, so that we can orient some assets in terms of how they're scaled. And we'll create a size box as the root of this widget. We'll set height and width. Based on this XY. And so if I plug some data in, go and take a look, go desired size. Something definitely didn't work. Cell size 64, data size 1x2. Oh, I didn't set the height. There we go. So you can see here we've got an item that's 1x2. And so if we change this to the next item, we've got a 2x3, right? So the next thing we need to do is be able to rotate this. So let's create a new rotation variable. Now if we take this size and rotate this by an angle, what we'll end up with is, like, if it's 1, 2, we'll end up with -1, 2, then -1, -2, and then 1, -2. No worries, say. CE. Doing some cool Tarkov Inventory today. So yeah, we want to rotate this box, right? So that it's oriented this way. So we can take that size that's 1x2, rotate it by a rotation, but because that comes out with -1, -2, if we absolute this, what we can do is now set our, we could actually call this get rotated size, for example, and plug that into our cell size. So I'm going to promote this to a variable, get rotated size. And the reason that this is important is because in Unreal, if you just rotate the internals, you're actually just rendering what is, you're just translating or rotating what's rendered. You're not actually rotating the geometry. So this is going to sort that out for us. This is going to actually rotate, or give the illusion of rotating the actual item. And so now in my designer, I come in and say, oh, the rotation is 90 or 180 or -90, we get an orientation that matches our expectations. And so from here, let's get some imagery in. So I'm going to put an image under this size box. And I'm actually going to import an image that I'm later going to delete so that we can test some orientation logic. So let's bring in, we've got grid items from a pack on itch.io. Okay, so we've got these tool items. We'll take in this shovel. So we've got this shovel here, and if we rotate our item, the shovel just stretches, right? So we need to make sure that we're actually doing that correctly. So I'm just going to go and check out some stuff. Okay. So take this image. This is our image icon, I guess. We want to set angle for this. We are going to change the render angle for this one. And if we use our rotation, let's have a look at what happens if we do that. So it actually rotates the item off the grid, which isn't ideal. If we, let's take a look. If we potentially rotate it by -1. But when I rotate, I want the spade to face the right, so we are facing the right side now. So next I want to change the size. So the size for this, it should just be multiplied by the cell size, right? The rotation. So let's have a look. At 0 rotation, we have a 32 by 64. When it's 90 degrees, I want it to be 64 by 32. X. And they didn't do it. It might not work because I'm not setting it through the brush. I would say that might be the reason. Let's try and set it from the brush. So get brush, set members, set size. We'll plug that in here. And then set brush. So here we go. Now we're 128 by 64. So if I say 0 on this, this is correct. 64 by 128. So bizarre. Let me not do that for a second. Oh, I need to center align. I need to center align it. That's not going to work unless I center align it. Okay, so it's still not great. What I want is, it doesn't matter what I do here, because it's still constrained by the original widget geometry. Hey, what's the game you're making? Not making a game, making tools or parts of games. So in this case, we're making the Tarkov Inventory, and at the moment, we're just going through the steps of creating every individual element. So we've got our inventory. We're currently doing our item. We'll then put all of our items in our shop, and then we'll do our drag logic. And so we'll drag these items over into the inventory. And then we'll start playing with nested inventories after that. So Oliver, welcome. Shogo, welcome. I think I recognize Shogo. I think we've chatted before. So show us the whole thing. The whole thing has only just begun today, in 40 minutes ago. So 20 minutes of that was setting up the project, and 20 minutes of that was setting up these original classes. So stick with us, Oliver, and you'll see the final result in about an hour. So you get to watch the whole process from start to finish of how you could produce something like this. Yeah, you do make some servers. Yes, I remember. Welcome. So let's have a look. Sidetracked from our item. I need to turn my music down a little bit. So this music is free to play on stream. Go check it out. It's awesome. Made by a group of people who were just like, we want to make this music. And just like smashed out an album together like a bunch of random artists. So this is clamped by the original non-rotated widget geometry. So what we can do is wrap this with a canvas panel. It's a little expensive to do this, I would say, but it does solve the problem. So what we might be able to do now is actually use desired size. Have a look. Actually not able to change this. is the image size for this? I think it's like 32 by 64. So we'll just plug that in. And then the anchors for this should be center. Okay. And then we're going to set desired size here. It's incorrectly rotated. So I wonder why that's happened. Yeah, go play, man. Have a good one. I've got my image here. I kind of want to add some padding to it, so we'll do that. Check how that works. We've got an image inside of a canvas panel. When we rotate the object, our canvas panel does stick to this. Our image icon, it gets rotated. Move these around. Is that not updating? See here, it is 123 by 59. It's set to size by content. But it's definitely not oriented correctly. So first we rotate it. So we get this. And then what we want to do is maybe we don't need, the problem is we don't really need the rotated version. Okay, so there we go. 180, 270, 0. Yeah. So we've got an item that we can rotate. I'm not actually going to use this icon, so let's get rid of this. Clean up our graph quickly as well. So, because a bunch of this is related to rotation, we'll just call this update rotation. Put some of our functions into categories. Rotation, call this configs, cell size, rotation. Again, we'll just put this into our rotation. And then we've just got some elements. Okay, cool. So that's that stuff. What I want to do for the visual of this is I want to create like a dashed line. Let's actually draw these items though. So we gave ourselves this data. If we expose this on spawn, go back to our shop, you can see we've got our 4 items. We need to refresh this and actually plug the data in. And now we have these 4 items, which is cool. Let's set the horizontal That's this one, set horizontal alignment and set vertical alignment. So I want this to be top left of my shop. So those all clamp up to the top now. When I hit play, we have all of our items laid out in some sort of grid. It's good enough. One thing that I need to do on begin play is set show mouse cursor to true and set game and UI. Don't want to hide the input. So currently we can't click on anything because we don't have any interactions on our UI. So let's, I forgot to clear this wrap box. So that wrap box just keeps filling. Okay, cool. Let's just double check my microphone hasn't died. Microphone, yep, good. Okay. So now I'm gonna create a quick material for these items, just to give us a representation and not look like big white boxes. So in our art folder, let's go new material, MUI, just call it dash. Turn this into a user interface. I'm going to get the user interface UVs. If I multiply the pixel size by the normalized UVs, I get a UV that's in screen space relative, like almost like a world aligned UVs. And then going to just mask out channel. So if we open this up, we get a gradient. Might go downwards, I guess. If we sign this, should start getting like multiple elements. So if I multiply this by 5, we get nothing. What? We get nothing. I expected to see it over here. Okay, well I can see it here at least, but that multiplied by 5 is just making this darker. So if we multiply the mask by 5, we'll get a bunch of. That's cool. That's not right though. Start previewing this. Why am I not able to see my material? It's weird. Yeah, I'm literally not seeing anything. Oh, there we go. Now we can see something. Why is that not working then? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is how thick we want it. So I guess if you do 1, it's just like a line every single pixel. So we'll do this. Let's maybe. I want to rotate this, custom rotate. The way that this works is it's a divider. So it's an angle that you want divided by 360. It's 0 to 1. And then here we can do 0.5, 0.5. That's very cool. Okay. From there, plug that in. We get this nice thing. I want to pan this as well. Just very lightly pan it around, just gives it a little bit of life. That's cool. I want to make these lines less fade. See, there's like a fade on it. So if I power this, it just makes this a sharper line. So in our inventory item for now, instead of having just a blank thing, shove this in so we have something to look at. It's going to need some sort of background, so we'll wrap that with border. It does mean that we'll need to change this to rotate the border instead of the icon. So that border we can have as just like a small okay. So now when we hit play, we have some items. The number of dashes I'm not keen, so I'm just going to increase the number of dashes. So this looks pretty neat. It's good enough to give us the shapes that we need. But we can't drag it right now, so let's start dragging these around. If we go to our inventory item, go to our graph here, functions, on mouse button down, we can detect if a drag was pressed with the left mouse button. So we just plug that in. And then there's a drag detected feature. So what we'll do is we need to create a widget. What we'll do is we'll actually create an item, inventory item, with some data. And I think I'm going to expose this rotation as well by default. So I don't need to call a function to set that rotation. So we create a new item for a drag drop operation. Create drag. So we need a drag visual, right? So we'll promote this to drag visual. We'll use this as the input and we'll use ourselves as the payload. We'll use the mouse down position as the drag location. So this will be our operation. We need to also probably set visibility of this widget. Actually, we'll do render opacity. Set render opacity to like 0.5 or maybe lower, like 0.25. Hey, Sheru. I started the Tarkov stream from scratch. I didn't like the original one, so we're starting again. Okay, so event drag cancelled. So this is if you drop it off screen or not into a slot of any kind. And so we just set our opacity back to 1. So let's see if that's working. So we can move this around. That's cool. And if we let go, it pops back, right? So let's make sure that we can rotate this item. So custom event rotate. I think when a drag is detected and we create this drag visual here, I'm gonna get the player controller, cast it to PC07, BP PC07, custom event set dragged visual. So that's going to be an inventory item widget. That to dragged widget. So set dragged widget like this, and then just R key. How's everyone doing? Anyone got cool stories from the front line? If the dragged widget is valid, we will rotate it. That's a function that we have now. Create a new function, set rotation. And then we'll update rotation. Here we'll set the dragged widget to itself. Then when we cancel this, we'll clear that. When we rotate, we should just set rotation to whatever rotation is plus 90. Yeah. I don't want to mod this with 360. I think that's correct. Every single one of them is rotating. What? Oh, it's rotating the one in there. Right, yeah. I did this wrong. So I used self. I should use drag visual. Okay, so we're able to rotate that. That's cool. And it's doing it from the top left, which isn't hyper cool. Yeah. No, it's not super cool that it does that. But what I could do is I could move the drag visual to the center of my mouse whenever I rotate it. And that would look a little bit better. So just align to mouse. So set position in viewport, probably. Get mouse position in viewport. What happens if I just call this? So we'll start there and see how that goes. Align to mouse anytime I rotate. It did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. Why? Why did you do nothing? What? What? Tell you what would make this quicker, and so in the interest of finishing this today, instead of mouse down, we'll use top left with a 32 unit offset, which is half of the size of a cell. And so whenever I drag this item, oh, that did not work. What is offset? An offset is a percentage. Awesome. Why would it be a percentage? Get local. I suppose I could say oh, look at that. Now it doesn't matter if I drag it from like wherever, it's always in the middle of my mouse. That's nice. Okay. It just realigns it because it's sweet. Okay, well we solved it without code, so We solved it by using the default variables, and that makes me happy. Moving on. When we drop it here, we need to test for snap or something, right? So what we can do for this, I have the function over on my left, and it's quite a big function, so I am going to refer to it again. Okay. The basic logic is you get the rotated size, and we loop how do we loop? So we loop from 1. We loop from 1 here. Problem with truncate is it goes to 0, so we actually want to round these. I mean, this is just our XY size, right? Promote this to a local variable, L column. I misspelled. L column, promote to local variable, L row. And what we do is we're looping all the cells now. We basically want to take that, multiply it by scale that we have. So we have cell size here. And then we can, I believe, just convert that into a vector. Let's chat going. Chat good. So what this gives us is, if we've got a box like this, we've now got the center of each cell. Actually, no, we don't. We have this location of each cell, which is not the center. So we actually need to like minus 32 units from this to get the center. And then what we can do is local to absolute using the cache geometry of this widget. We have our function that we made earlier, so get user widget at screen position. So for each cell, we're going to get a widget at the screen position, and if it's valid, good. If it's not valid, we'll create a local variable, L success. If it's not valid, it's not successful. When you create the logic for a game, would you create it with Blueprint or C++? Blueprint, because I'm used to it. The only time I go to C++ is if I have something complex or that can't otherwise be done in Blueprint. Or if I'm making, like, the games I make are small, right? They're not massive, so I don't really need to go into C++ too much. There's a couple of things that you have to, like dedicated servers, this function that I made for like particular use cases, some C++ in there, but for gameplay, missions, objectives, tracking, triggers, events in general, anything to do with artwork, anything to do with UMG, I do it all in Blueprint, because it's just way faster. I mean, I can compile the engine now in like 20 seconds, but like 10 seconds. I opened the engine in like 5 seconds now since I did my upgrade, and so it's not really a problem about speed of like scripting. With the advent of AI though, for programming languages, it's like I wouldn't mind seeing where the line can shift in terms of productivity with C++, but the problem for me is the benefits of Blueprint just outweigh the costs of, or the time it takes to use C++. Where can we access previous streams? On the YouTube channel, go to live streams on the top tab, and there'll be all the live streams that we've ever done. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're we're going through each cell and we're essentially testing if there's something beneath this tile. And if we're here, it's a fail. If we're here, it's a fail. And so if we don't hit an inventory slot, then it's a fail. If we do hit an inventory slot, the first thing I want to do is, because we're testing from the top left to the bottom right, is when I drop this, I want to assign it to the top left. So this becomes the target slot. And if we didn't otherwise have a, but we only want to set this if we don't have a target slot. And then similarly at the beginning, we want to make sure that we don't have a target slot by default. And so we would then just return whether this was a success. Success. So that's our test. Let's have a look. So test for snap. We do this test. Definitely a tougher challenge. Yeah, it's a bigger one. I'm going to make sure that we set the render opacity as good, and then checking up on the chat. What we can do is, if there's a target slot, we're going to set our position to that slot, and if there is not, I suppose actually one thing that I need to do is always make sure that we clear the dragged widget from the player. That would be important. Test for snap. I assume Tarkov number 7 meant there were 6 other videos. No, this is just the 7th thing that we're making live on stream. For UI, we've also done gameplay stuff. But for the UI series of Can I Make This UI, Can I Make This UI number 7, Tarkov, 1 episode, all in one. Let's make Tarkov UI today. Not let's make 6 hours of tutorials. And go through the problems that we come across, like solve issues along the way. Not like prescribed, like put this node here and put that node there. Although in this Tarkov case, I did do some pre-research. I did do some testing. In fact, we already did this episode. I deleted it because I wasn't happy with it. I was fumbling around way too much, and it's just not good for anyone to come in and hope to find out about how to create this thing, and then watch me just struggle to think of a good method. I was using an old pre-built project, and it just wasn't going well, so I deleted that stream yesterday. I don't usually stream on Fridays. I'm just doing this because I want to make sure that the stream that should have been out yesterday is actually out. So we're doing the Tarkov today. It's taking you 4 months to go for 1 day. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get something. We're gonna get something, that's for sure. I won't say it'll be all of Tarkov, but it'll be some of the core concepts that you need. So we have this target slot. We want to get the local to absolute. First, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Local to absolute. If we get the local position on the target slot's top left, and then we want to get that relevant to the canvas panel that it's attached to. So if we get the outer and the outer of this is the inventory. So if there's an inventory slot that sits here and it's in an inventory widget, which has a canvas panel. If I get the outer of the target slot, this is going to be the uniform grid panel that those slots are in. This is going to be the inventory of which that uniform grid slot is in. Not to be confused with parent. I suppose you could technically do this, possibly, but we're going to do it this way. So this gets our inventory, which means we can now get our canvas panel. We have our, let's just move this around. We have our target slot, which is, and we get the cached geometry of that. So let's say I drag this to here. the target slot will be this one. We then want to get the cache geometry, or actually, yeah, we do. We want to get the cache geometry, I think, of our canvas panel, and we want to go from absolute back to local. And so we've got, well, what we've essentially done is we've said, what's the position on screen, and then what's the position relative to the canvas panel. And what that does is it allows us to add a child to the canvas panel. Oh my god, our totally free and super awesome music has ended, and everyone should go and listen to this and subscribe to them because they're awesome for doing this. This music can be streamed and it just looks cool. Like, it just has a vibe. I'll turn it up a little bit. So we've got our canvas item. We're going to add our self to that canvas. And we're going to set the position to be equal to this. Now, there's a couple of things we also need to do. So, well, let's just do that first and we'll see if it works. It doesn't work at all. It 100% didn't work, not even a little bit. So it cancels, it comes through, it tests for a snap, and it fails. So let's go and look at why. We get the rotated box size, we column and row it. I'm going to look at my, this is why I created something off stream, so that I can make sure that I'm able to actually test. Right. So let's actually debug the position. So we want to draw a point at a position in the world. We'll do it for 5 seconds at like 50 size, and we'll do it in pink. Let's it's at least it's completely broken and not partially broken. Exactly, it doesn't work at all, which is better than either intermittently working or only half working, and trying to figure out which parts broke. So we're going to do a debug of this position. In order to do that, we can get the player controller and we can deproject a position to the from the screen to the world. And so we just do local to viewport, and it's the geometry here, and it's the local coordinate, and this is the world position. And so let's just debug that. So if I drag this over, where do we expect the dots to be? Oh, I'll give you guys a second to guess where the dots will be. Anyone got a guess? Anyone know? God, you're a talkative bunch. The dots are over here. They're in the wrong place. Well, we already knew they were in the wrong place. Should make that clear. Is they were going to be in the wrong place. So this just needs to be drag visual. And now we also have a nice little debug tool for later. So that's good. So now we can drop this, and we get some offsets, right? Like there's some weird stuff going on. So firstly, I want to make sure that when this is on a canvas panel, auto size is set to true. Like, immediately fixed it. And the next one I want to make sure is that we are retaining the rotation, because it's not keeping the rotation. And also that actually failed. We should get the rotated size of the drag visual, not of the undragged visual. That's cool. Right. Yeah, you see how it's not rotated. So let's go and make sure it's rotated as well. Set rotation, get drag visual, rotation. Okay, so now we get a fail here. We get a fail, fail, snap, 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 fail, fail. All we need to do now is make sure that there are some visual representations of when it's going to be a fail and when it's going to be a success. They have had enough. Pub does sound good. Pub does sound good. I can't get enough of the Yorkshire puddings from the Irish pub. It's like I moved from England or the UK to America, or North America, Canada, and it's like if I can get my hands on fish and chips or Yorkshire puddings or pies, I'm in. I'm down. I love that shit. Stew, a good stew. Yeah, man. Someone had a poll at my workplace the other day that was like a team building exercise, and they were like, pick your favorite cuisine. And it was all the classics, right? Like Mexican, Italian, French, all this sort of stuff. You know, Chinese, Japanese, like what's your preferred food type? And British food was not on there. And there was other, and it was like, if you say other, you have to define like what other is. And I was like, British pub grub. Stews, like pot stews, pies, fucking mashed potatoes, like with like roasted chicken and like roasted vegetables, gravy, pour that gravy on there. Fish and chips is also obviously a good one. Just salty vinegary goodness of a good bag of chips, can't beat it. A pear and boar. Oh yeah, pear and boar. Yeah. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's get some visual polish. Right now, the main problem is we get over here, we don't really know where it's going to land. Firstly, it's not like super clear which ones it's going to land on. So I could let go here and we don't know where it's going to be. Oh, it's going to be the bottom left. Okay, cool. Or the bottom right, sorry. So let's start with that. Let's event tick on this inventory item, and we'll do the snap test. All over my mouth. We're going to do the snap test because what that gives us is it gives us these correct hit widgets. And the nice thing is this is on tick while you're grabbing. So all we've got to do is say if it is a target slot, then that target slot's going to be green. So let's open up the inventory slot. That's a blueprint interface apparently, inventory slot. This one. Okay, so we've got this guy. Let's just take the edge. This is going to be pretty lame. Let's go a full image underneath, and we'll go image underscore, and we'll call this Phil. Hey Phil. And then nothing against Phil, but that's his name. We go here, it can be red and it can be green. Let's go 0.1. It's gonna be white. Okay, so let's create a function, custom event, set fill state, I guess. how are we going to do it? So we'll just call it highlight me. Highlight me. Set color and opacity to 0.2 green, and then we'll just delay. It doesn't really matter how long the delay is. We technically just want next frame. Oh, next tick. Delay until next tick. To set it back to plain white 0.1, and then in our inventory item we just call highlight here. So because this is happening on tick, that delay will get hit. If we read what the delay says, it's like calling it again. Oh, calling it again will be ignored. This might not work. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Errors, errors, errors. So inventory slot, inventory item, event graph, test for snap. Cool. So what we need to do, well, firstly, is you can't do this test if you don't have an inventory, if you don't have a direct visual. Okay. So it may very well be the case that that highlight is being hit. Try a retriggerable delay. Calling it again will reset the countdown. So now we can see which one it's going to land on, which is cool. Not a big fan of green. Not a massive fan of green. It's too like hard to tell. So that's pretty cool. So I could put that there. And then you can see here, because I'm not able to hit that, it's not letting me do it. And also it should be red. Also it should be red. So let's get the red state in. It is similar, right? Yeah, if I open up my reference, other than all of the categorization and like logic there, there's two things that make Tarkov what it is, which is Tetris-based inventories and then nested inventories. So once I've got these color states sorted, we're going to get started on some save data, and we might come back. We might have half an hour break and come back for another 2-hour stream where we get the nested inventory part finished. But essentially, we're like part of the way there. There's a couple of things that we would want to add, like different it's just the windows, basically. Like, we just need to say, oh, this is a backpack, and if I double click it, it opens up this ammo bag which has loads of stuff in. If I open up this wallet, it shows me these 4 slots that can have things in it. So we're gonna get there. Like, we're pretty close, in fact, to getting there. We just need to sort out the save data. So back to our Unreal project here. I think we're pretty good on time. We've got half an hour. Yeah, looking pretty good. We need it to be red. Oh, okay. Just opened up C++ for me. Cool. Let's save everything that we have. Close everything here. Just play one more time. We've got this guy. That's not allowed. And so it's the not allowed state now that we care about, right? And in fact, what we could do is just, rather than trying to get all of the tiles underneath to tell it that that's not allowed, we'll just color this top tile in red. So let's go to our inventory item, and when we're tick testing for snap, which requires a drag visual, I'm going to clear this drag visual. Got to clear this drag visual at some point. So I guess we'll clear it here and we'll clear it here, because we're still accessing it here. Alright. So what we can do is go and grab this border. Just call this border fill. Hey Phil. Set the color. Content color and opacity. Let's make sure that we have a copy of this color. You can drag it up into this bit here to cache it. And so now I can just go pick that. So that's the color it'll be when there's no drag visual. In fact, I'll just place that like here, so I don't have to set the color on tick. Setting the color on tick on the widget is like not a great idea, because it's just processing that you don't need to do. I think it might even invalidate some things, so the paint pass. So here we don't do anything, but here we're going to select a color. If the snap test is good, let's just go green. If the snap test is bad, let's go red. See how that feels. It's not working, and it's not the right color. Content color and opacity, brush color. Content color, oh, I did it wrong. I did the wrong thing. I set the content color, so that's a common mistake. Set color. Set brush color. That's the one we want. Let's try that. Oh, it's doing it on the goddamn thing again. Get drag visual. Drag visual. Get border fill. So the cool thing is that we actually don't need this, because this is only getting applied to the border fill. And what I'm going to do here as well is just collapse this to a function. Is just on drag cancel. Oh no, that's a macro. Didn't want to do that. That was close. Collapse this to a function on drag cancelled. Oh, I can't call it that. Oh, it's literally the event is called on drag cancelled. Okay, we'll just call it handle drag cancelled. We'll put this in our drag drop functions. Set rotation, we'll put that in our set rotation functions. Test for snap, we'll put that in our drag drop functions. Cool. Now everything's categorized except for widgets. Okay, let's try this. Whoa, yeah, okay, it's working suddenly. 0.2, 0.2. So that's cool. Come in here, like, that's good. That's bad. Okay, so now let's get a nested inventory going. Well, let's actually get it saving, firstly. So let's make a new folder for save data. We'll just call it save. How long have we got for this? We've got 30 minutes, so let's get going. We need a blueprint save game object. bp save game underscore inventory. And in here, we're going to need some information. So let's put a struct f underscore inventory data. We need to know what the item is. So it's item data. We need to know, for now, the position. Vector 2D. We could use the cell of the... We could either cache the position that it is in the canvas so we know exactly where it was and what rotation it was at, or we cache the ID of the cell that we like attached it to, which is a little more future proof. So we're going to do that, because what if the designers decide to, if the designers change the inventory scale, they're going to delete someone's save data, because there's just no guarantee that's going to work anymore. I suppose you could put it in like a temporary pop-up. This is your inventory that no longer fits in your inventory. So we are going to store it as the cell or slot that it was in. It is an integer. It is technically associated to a slot. And the rotation. And then at some point we would also do like stack, right? Like how many items are actually in there. But we'll add that when we get to that, if we get to that. So this has an inventory, which is inventory data. It's an array of that. And so what we can do is in our inventory widget, I'll have a new function. I have two new functions. Three new functions. Get save data. Save. Load. So in get save data, does save exist? I'm going to call the save inventory. I'm going to promote that, and we'll call it, it's just going to be called slot name. That's going to be important later, because I think we might end up for the nested inventories having different save slots for each of them, and the slot name will be important. So if you get a bag and you put that into your inventory, it'll have a save that has a slot name that's like bag 01 or something. But anyway, if this doesn't exist, create a save data that is of our inventory type, and we'll just return that. In fact, we'll promote that to a variable called inventory save, and then we'll return that. If we already have an inventory save, we'll just return it, so we don't have to keep loading it. If we do have an inventory save, load slot, this, if it thinks we have one, if it's not valid, then we're just going to delete the slot. And if the thing in there can't be cast to inventory, we'll also delete the slot. And then otherwise, we will save the inventory here and return it. And that way, next time that we attempt to get our save, we will just return the cached version up here. So just to review, when we get the save data, if we have already loaded it, then we just return it. If we haven't already loaded it, does it even exist? If it doesn't, create it. if it does exist, can we load it? If we can load it but it's not valid, there's a problem, so delete the slot and create a new one. If we can load it and we can cast it, then we just store it, return it. Once we've stored it, the next time we ask, we're just going to return it. So it's a nice little clean one. Save, save game slot, and we just use slot name like so. Cool. Load. So this is just get save data, or get save data. Cool. Then we get the inventory, and then for each of these inventory items, we create a widget, which is an inventory item. Break this. That's the data. The slot. So slot is going to be important in a moment. Rotation. Let's get our canvas. Add child. Just add this child. Set auto size. What other things do we do when we drop this item? Handle drag. Okay, so we get this target slot here, and then we get the target slots cached. Okay, that gives us the position. So let's go back to our inventory. We need all of this data. We're saving a slot. So in the uniform canvas panel, get child at, and we use that slot index. That's the cache geometry that we're testing against. This is the canvas geometry that we want to turn it into. And yeah, so we get a new position to place our object. What's my background right now? What's that? I was like, what's my background? Okay, cool. So that's loading, but we haven't yet saved. Set position of this guy. But we haven't yet saved it. So what we do is we create the grid and we load our items. And then on destruct, we save. And so in order to save, all we do, get our save data, we set the inventory, write to local variable L inventory, and then we save this object. So now we just need to fill in this inventory. So we add an element of some data. And so to get that data, we just get all of the children of that canvas. Get all children. If this is empty, we may as well not save it. So not empty. As long as that's not empty, that's good. So yeah, for all of our children, as long as we find some, there's no need to validate anything here about length because it will just complete if there's nothing in here. What we want to do is cast this to an item. We want to get the data. We want to get the rotation. And we would get other things like, what's the stack count? What's the, I don't know, yeah, whatever you need. If I was doing things like attachments and stuff, I would use JSON. you can use JSON in Blueprint to store more information, basically, like durabilities, stuff like that. But for now, we're good here. The slot, I want to store the slot on the item when we drop it. So we have this target slot here, and we have the inventory, so we can get the uniform inventory, find index, or find child, or get child index from this content, and we can just promote this to slot. Oh, slot index. Yeah, slot is a generic term in Unreal for widgets, because everything is attached to some kind of slot. It's a bit of a confusing word or term to use for the inventory, because everything is a slot. Okay, so back in our inventory, we just need to get the slot index. Just plug that in. So that will get saved up. Cool. So now we should just be able to drag these in. We'll get a rotation on one of those. Press escape, press play. Of course, everything is in the upper left. because of course it is all in the upper left. I can't even like move that item because it's I can't even move this item. Is it overlapping itself? That would be hilarious. So now I need a reset function. I need to be able to reset the inventory. Custom event reset. Delete save date, save in slot. Use the slot name. Can I just put a key in here? O. We'll just use the O key. Tell you what, we'll use the 1 key. Set. It didn't work because I didn't call it correctly. Reset. There. Does this actually trigger? It does. Perfect. Play. Sorry, what? Oh, because then it just goes and saves it again anyway. I guess I just need to remove children. Remove clear children. There we go. So when we reset, we need to clear the children as well. Otherwise, when we destruct, we just save it again anyway. So 1, play. Cool. Let's just put 1 here, and then debug the save. Can't debug the save because it happens on deconstruct. But what we can do is after we do this, when we load, we can debug the loading. So we have an inventory of 1 item at slot 19. I expected it to be slot 1, but I guess I'm wrong. So what I think is the case is that the cache geometry isn't ready yet. So the local to absolute is just nothing. Yeah. Using cache geometry is like that, so you just need to give it a second to render. If it ever fails, it resaves all of its information it resaves all of its information wrong. So what I need to do is, when I'm loading, I just get the cache geometry of the canvas panel, and if the local size is invalid, is it greater than 0? Oh, we can't do that. Okay, cool. Let's just do this then. Is this greater than 0? If it is, then we'll get the save data and we'll load everything. And if it isn't, then we'll set a timer by an event, create, and we'll just load again. Just do that in 0.2 seconds. Okay, so now I just need to rearrange everything because it broke once and saved in that way. I'm going to take two. I'm going to take that and that. Cool. Play. Escape. Play. Yeah, it broke again. But now it's just a case of solving why it breaks sometimes. Oh, when we're resaving it at the end, the slot index isn't set up. The slot index is not set up. That's not good. So when we load and we create this, we need to set the slot. Otherwise, when we save it later, it's just gonna break down again. It's a problem of not doing it directly with like positions. So let's fix this inventory again. Make sure we get some rotations in. Oh god. Can't do it. I can't solve it. Well, let's see if it saves that horrible mess. Okay, let's just reset it. Bring some things in. I think it's hitting itself, which is easy to fix. When we initiate a drag, on drag detected, we set the visibility of our self to non-hit testable self and all children, whilst our render opacity goes down. And then once we're done with the drag cancelled, handle cancel drag, set this back to whatever it was, which I think is self only. So you click the top level here. Yeah, self only. So we'll just put that at both ends here. Cool. Okay, so now all we need to do is create nested inventories, but we only have 10 minutes left, so that might not be very possible in 10 minutes. If there's any... Hey, Dinverno. Oh, who's still with us? who is still with us. We've got a bunch on Twitch. I can't actually see how many people are in either place. It doesn't really tell me. But I hope that it says top left. Oh, someone did guess where the dots are going to be. They said top left. Good guess. Like top left of the graph? Yeah, no. Like other side of the screen. That was ages ago. Just caught that message. But that's cool. We've got a Tetris inventory. It's a Tetris inventory. We definitely have a Tetris inventory. Obviously these aren't items, but you can now go and add all that stuff. Let's do something else real quick. I do have one thing that I can do in the time that we have. I can turn this music down. Done. All in a day's work. No, I have one more thing that I can do, and I want to do. So we added names to the inventory item. Let's add some text to this canvas panel. Anchored to the top left with some padding. And the text will just be like size 12. Just be a light text. I will size 2. No. Anchors will be top aligned like so. We'll wrap the text as well. So automatically wrap that text. Ah, that's not working. Wonderful. Click. Huh. Set right, nothing. Size Y, doesn't matter. Size it to content. Okay. Offset from the right should be 5 units. Okay, so we've got this text block. We'll call this name. It's gonna be really hard to read it though. So let's just add an outline for now. Actually, I prefer shadow. I'm a fan of shadow. Where's shadow? Shadow color. Shadow distance. Do something like that. And then inside here we just set text. And on event begin play we have this update rotation. We need to update appearance. So we can get our data, which is in part of our configs. We get the name. Now when we hit play, we should have... Oh, yeah. Well, it would help if I called the function. Every time. What we'll do as well is we'll make sure that this text is hidden unless set. So set visibility. Do that. It'll be non-hit testable. I want to not do this for drag visuals. Basically. You can see now we have we can actually have the names of all the items. So if we go look back at our reference, you can see how it's got like M995 or Xenia or whatever. So we do have that ability, and it doesn't rotate when we change this. So another thing for like future us in another episode is we would also want a similar item for count. We'll just put this as like 0 of or just one of one for now. One of one, and that'll be bottom anchored, offset by 5 in the directions, 1 on the alignment, so it's a little bit raised, and then the justification can be to the right. And so now, I mean, it's hidden by default, right? Because it doesn't have, it never gets set, but let's just make it non-hit testable for now. So now we've got like one of one in all of these as well. So yeah, you could imagine this with these graphics. Would obviously be way cooler. I love that I can just be like, wow, look at the graphics. Got my circle count. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. I'm gonna have some breakfast because I started this at 7 AM and I went for 2 hours. So yeah, it's time for some breakfast. Actually, I don't really do breakfast because I kind of fast, but I'm gonna get another coffee at least. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Obviously like the video to help with the algorithm and my confidence that this is good content for people. Subscribe if you haven't looked at the LinkedIn post about our Slay the Spire work. Go check out LinkedIn, follow us over there on UX is Fine. Check out the posts that we've been making about the content that we've been doing over here on YouTube, and that will help with confidence as well there, just maintaining the keep the ball rolling. You have a good day too. I'll be back later. I think we'll do the nested inventories for 2 hours, so that we can actually have like this bit here. We'll do that today. We will get there, but I am going to have a half-an hour break, so I'll probably be back in an hour. Probably be back at 10 AM until midday, and then that'll be us done. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so do all those things. Go subscribe, go like us on LinkedIn, go like our posts. It's the best way that you can show appreciation or show your confidence in the series. So yeah, cool. See you later. Double salute.